Yeah, this video will show you how to repair an old tension spring if it's been broken or bent. I'm just going to take this one apart. Okay, take that apart. Screw that off. Yeah, this is a very basic one, but they all work on the same principle. You can just take that tension spring out, that little cap, the two tension plates, and then your actual spring. Here's something to notice at the back. It's got a little hook that actually locks in, and it stops your take-up spring from spinning around, and it actually locks it in. If you can see the back of that, it's got all those little hooks, and then you'll fit it in, bend it around a little bit, and just feel that you've got a right amount of tension, and that will actually lock in. But sometimes what happens when you sew, cotton gets stuck, this thing can get in all over the show. It can look like that, or what can happen, it can just snap straight off. Okay, now it's always good if you have the original piece, so you can actually use this to measure the length of your spring and actually make it exactly the same as the original one. So I mean, probably easiest if you can buy a new one, but sometimes you just can't buy a new one, and it's just much easier to actually just reuse it. So what you can do, you just bend it out, pull it out, pull it out, pull it out a little bit more, make a nice straight length. So once you've wound it on enough, okay, the next step will be to take your pliers, grip it inside, and actually just bend it out straight at a right angle. So from the side it will look like that, and then all you have to do is straighten this split. Use some pliers. Don't squeeze it too hard, because you don't want to damage the spring, because if you do damage it, then it's very likely to break. So you just got to bend it straight, and then you just got to look at the length of what it should be like. So that's about 10 millimeters. So you grab your 10 millimeters like that, take your pliers, and just bend it up. Okay, you just got to take your time and just bend it up, and just make sure you straighten it up nicely so everything is nice and square. And now the next thing you'll do, you'll obviously match it up. You'll see how long that little bit was, and the best is to actually bend a nice round shape like that, just to take a screwdriver, mark it out, take a screwdriver and bend it around. Okay, it's a little bit hard showing, but just bend it around the actual screwdriver, so you get a round, nice round bend. Just gotta bend it around. You could probably use the pliers to do that as well, but I'll just use my hands. So it's starting to take on the right shape, so you can just use your hands, since you've got a round shape, to squeeze it flat a bit. Okay. So you can just use the pliers a little bit, just to get more of the exact shape. Sorry. Bend it out. And the next step will be just to see how long that last bit extends to, more or less. So you can just measure it out. Comes to around about there. And just take your pliers again. Bend it double. Squeeze it nice. Oops, sorry. Nice and flat like that. And then you can just take your little cutters. Oops, that actually just broke off. So you're going to actually be very careful that you don't bend it too much. So probably the best of that is just to cut off the sharp little edge so it doesn't catch on any cotton. And now it's just to bend it nice and straight, and just to get it in the best possible, as close as possible to the original one. So that's quite a bit of a bend over there, so you're just got to take your pliers and yeah, just bend it straight. Get it nice and flat. Yeah, I mean, this is how you can actually just reuse the old one. And then the last thing is probably quite important. You just got to bend the last bit out so it's easier for the cotton to hook around and not get stuck. Yeah, and then that's more so, yeah, you just got to make it a bit flatter again. Yeah, especially if you get stuck in your card, you need to sew and it's just broken, you can't get a new one right on the spot. It's always worthwhile repairing, and you can continue sewing. And sometimes you can actually repair it so well that you probably don't need to buy a new one. And yeah, I mean, there's a new take-up spring that you can actually use, and it's, yeah, you can just use that and just putting it back. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but so you can just fit it in. See how much of a take-up spring you want, just like that. And then obviously the next one you'll put back is this one, and make sure that little pin goes into that little groove over there. Put it over, down, and just make sure that goes top of. Oh, okay, well, there's no spring in that, so we just got to take it out, move it on a bit. Okay. So obviously when you look at it now, just okay, this one is slightly bent, so you just gotta just twist it out a bit so it lines up nicely with that little groove. Something that I have found in the past, say because the spring broke, you actually took some of the winding off of the spring, you might actually just have to stretch it out a little bit, and then it will actually align better, because sometimes if you don't do that, then it won't fit as well. Okay, now you can, sorry. Now you can fit that back on again. Yeah, and then you'll see it'll actually line up with that much better. And then, yeah, as always, just double check and just bend it back straight a bit. Okay, and then you can just put your tension units back. Nothing fancy about that. And this one is obviously quite important because we must go to the top, because that little stopper, stops that plastic piece on your tension unit, so when it comes to the top it will stop on 0. And I hope I've put that on the right side now. And then take that, turn that in. Yeah, and you'll just set your tension like that. And then once you've set your tension correctly on your sewing machine, once it's been set up, you can obviously just put that and center it in the middle on 5. Yeah, and there goes that's how you repair old tension take-up spring.